Hello everybody, in this video I have some creative journaling / traveller's notebook scrapbooking to share with you. I never fully know what to call it really because I see it more as creative journaling because any white space you see on the pages at the end of the video I then go and journal in all of those spaces, but also it's quite similar to TN scrapbooking, and TN scrapbooking is quite popular and I just don't know what to call it. As I said, obviously, if I didn't have YouTube, I wouldn't bother thinking of a title for it, but I need to think of titles for videos. So anyway, rambly start to the video. Sorry about that. For my first couple of pages, I'm using the Simple Stories Simple Vintage Cottage Fields collection. Usual disclaimer that when I use any Simple Stories products, I have purchased them from the Organised Hedgehog, for which I am on their PR team, so I get a discount for anything I purchase and have a separate discount code for you to use, which will be in the description. But the video is made because I wanted to make it and wanted to create with these products. It's not like an ad or anything like that. But anyway, still have to say the disclaimer. So for these pages, I felt like using that dark page, like the almost black with the beautiful florals on. I ripped pieces to have it coming in either side of the pages. Where I ripped it on the left-hand side though, I did it ever so slightly smaller than the height of my journal, so that's why I've put the washi in that place so you don't get an awkward white gap, and then put washi at the opposite corner as well so it's more balanced out. And to add a little bit of colour to the background, I'm going in with some gouache. I know it looks like watercolours. I take gouache and put them in little watercolour pans. I don't know why, I just prefer using gouache. I think because it's slightly bolder, maybe. I don't know. But I also decided to go with yellowy orange colours because that's not a colour palette I usually go to. If you're a regular to my channel, you know I am a pastel blue, green, cool colours person. So yeah, yellow's not usually my thing, but I felt like changing it up a bit, and I think it looks really nice, those bold colours peeking out from under those black bits. To know where to add the paint, I did add a very light pencil line, kind of vaguely where those bits would be glued down, just so I know, as I said, where to put the paint, and so there's no awkward little white gaps between the paper and where the paint is added. And I added some splashes as well in a sort of reddish orange colour that I mixed as well. And the gouache I used isn't fancy. I've got some stuff that I got from the Works, which was really cheap, and then I also have a pack which is Winsor and Newton or De La Rowney, one of the two, not sure, but it was quite cheap from Amazon. So yeah, really recommend playing around with gouache, especially if you struggle a bit with watercolour. Sometimes it's a little bit more predictable where it goes. I do like using watercolour, don't get me wrong, but I think I like the finish of gouache a little bit better, especially when you're not actually on watercolour paper. So I cut out that, there was a 4x4 journal card with that butterfly on saying it's the little things, and I wanted to use that as my title, but the whole card itself was a bit big, even though I really liked it, like the black with the pink splashes. As I said, it was just too big, so I fussy cut out the butterfly and done a banner shape around the words, and to keep in with that theme, I've cutting some banners out of the scraps of that journal card as well to put around the photos. The photos were taken February last year, just before, you know, the world imploded on itself due to a certain virus. And I had gone with one of my sisters, one of my nieces, her friend, up to see one of our other sisters in Sheffield, just to spend the weekend with her, and also Cody the dog, who is my sister's / niece's dog, but he is very attached to my sister, like attachment issues attached to my sister. But he has this thing, bless him, where with the other sisters he obviously senses that familial relationship or something, because he can be quite clingy to myself and one of the other sisters, as well as his quote unquote mum. Bless him. But on that trip I really bonded with him. He's the cutest little thing, and we were going somewhere and he had to be on my lap because there wasn't any room in the car for him to sit in the back. And when he fell asleep, he nuzzled his little face into the crook of my arm, and at the time he had never done that with anyone except my sister, so that was a very special moment. I am such an animal lover. I see a dog, I see a cat, I see a rabbit, and I want to be best friends with them immediately. So that was just like the most glorious moment. I was like, somebody take a picture now. So the sister that was sat in the back took those pictures, and I just, oh, he is the cutest. I love him. So I just added various scraps and embellishments from the ephemera packs and the sticker sheet and the sticker book. I really like at the side where I added the banner underneath the title, and then also added the flower and put a little scrap of washi over the top of it, kind of like people do with pressed flowers. You have that little scrap of washi. I just really like that look. There's something about it. Various vintagey looking tickets and phrases, just says like this photo, hello lovely, favourite, stuff like that. And that is those pages done. And as I said, once I have done all of my photos and everything, I then go back and add journaling in all the white spaces, because I just prefer to do my journaling privately. These pages here, they were supposed to be the second part of this video, but for some reason my camera, I use an old iPhone to take all my videos, it decided to film the entire thing in portrait mode, and I personally can't stand watching portrait mode on YouTube, and obviously it would change the aspect of everything. So I was like, right, okay, I'll just show them that page and do another one for the video. So for those pages, by the way, more pictures of Cody. Those were taken only a few weeks ago when he was in our garden, and I took him for a little walk around the garden. Can't let him off the lead in the garden because our garden isn't secure. Unfortunately, there's a bit without a fence and he could run off to the neighbour's house. So, but he does look super cute in those photos, I will say. And then he's going to feature in the pictures again for these pages. So for these pages, I am using the Pink Paisley, Indigo and Ivy collection, which came out 2019, I think. Something like that. I really, really like this collection. It's one of my favourites. The blues and the florals and the pastel colours is very much my thing. I cut a large piece to go over most of the two pages, and because these photos are kind of homely photos that feature my grandma, I quite liked that blue pattern. It was almost like a carpet or something like that. That's why I went with it. And the same for this piece of wood grain as well. I think it adds to the whole homely feel. And I also added a scrap with a floral pattern just as a little bit of something interesting as a base for my photos. So the photos are on that same trip from February last year that I was telling you about, because we went over to see my grandma as well, who lives about an hour away from one of my sisters, and we brought Cody the dog to meet grandma, and she absolutely loved him. You can see him there like jumping all over her and licking her, and obviously we were like, oh my goodness, because my grandma is, well, she's 98 now. She was 97 at the time, so she's quite frail, bless her, and this very excited little dog. He's not a puppy, he looks like one, but he's not, just be yapping all over her and licking her face. We're a bit, oh my goodness, but she loved it. So really cute pictures of that. And behind her is also her budgie Mickey, who she absolutely adores. And Cody is he was quite interested in Mickey the budgie, shall we say. Thankfully Mickey the budgie stayed in his cage. Anyways, I also pulled out some bits from the cut apart sheet, both the 12 by 12 cut apart and the 6 by 6 from the cut apart from the 6 by 6 paper pad, and made that little cluster on the right there, and then also adding these acetate words, gold foiled acetate words. I love these. I attach them with the red line tape because you can't see it as much as with normal double-sided tape. If you really look hard, you can see it, but I was putting it in places kind of overlapping the photos and stuff, so it helped to disguise the tape behind it. And then I was a bit stuck on embellishments really, because I didn't want to go overly floral. I thought it would be a bit much for this page, but it needed something, so I decided on having this little line of hearts coming out of that little cluster there, and then another big one at the bottom. I'm going around everything, by the way, with Distress Oxide in Weathered Wood, just that lovely vintagey blue woody hue, which I think goes really nicely with this collection. And then I thought I'd bring in some of the rub-ons from the collection. There were these patterned lines sort of thing, which I thought looked cute and added to the sort of homely feel, so I've added a few of those. And then I just finished off with the rub-ons with one teensy little butterfly on the wood grain paper. I have this thing where any pictures that I journal or scrapbook that include my grandma, there has to be a butterfly somewhere on the page, because she just loves butterflies. So it's a thing that I do with pictures of my grandma. Just even if it's a teeny little tiny one, there has to be a butterfly on the page. I wanted to add a little bit more depth, a little bit more texture, but obviously in a traveler's notebook or a journal you can't add too much texture because it's a book and it's gonna bulk out too much. So kind of do it with sneaky fake ways of doing it. So adding things like faux stitching with a pen or something like that, I think really adds something. So I went round some of the embellishments or those little cluster pieces, the cut apart cards, with a sort of a doodly white line with a gel pen, and then a stitched border around the large blue piece. And I also did a black one on some of the ones where the white wouldn't have really worked or you wouldn't be able to see it. And finally I am going to finish off with some splatters. First I'm using Distress Oxide Spray in Speckled Egg, and then some Heidi Swap Colour Shine in Gold. And then, as I said, I will add my journaling in that white space at another time, just because, as I said, I prefer to keep my journaling private. Sometimes I don't always like to share what I've written online. So anyway, there we go. That is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. As always, relevant links in the description, including to the Organised Hedgehog and that discount code I told you about. Let me know whether you would call this creative journaling or traveler's notebook scrapbooking or some sort of hybrid of the two. I'd like to know your thoughts because I just don't know what to title these videos. But anyway, with that said, really time for me to go. Thank you so much again. Please leave me a thumbs up, chat to me in the comments. I am going. Goodbye.